Jill, should we do a creative writing exercise during this?
No.
Get your notebooks out?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi guys. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Welcome to the Geneseo CollegeSide Chat panel discussion. First and foremost, we hope you're all healthy and well. This virus is affecting communities across the world, and we empathize with you as you all navigate the already anxious transition to college, and we're doing it during a pandemic, so we really feel for you.
Yeah, and you said thank you for joining us all today. Our hope for you with this fireside chat is to just provide you a little glimpse into life at Geneseo, and to also give you an opportunity to hear all of our amazing panelists' stories and different experiences, and to just give you an idea of what the format of today's event is going to be like. It's going to be an hour long. The first half an hour will be our panel answering previously submitted discussion questions, while the second half will be an open discussion with all of you. So enjoy.
We encourage you all to turn on your cameras so our panelists can see who they're talking to. However, only do so if you consent to being recorded. We will be uploading the recording onto YouTube for other students to watch and for you to refer back to. We're going to kick things off with introductions, so let's have each of our panelists introduce themselves with their names, pronouns, hometowns, years, majors, and the first thing they're going to do after quarantine is over. We'll kick it off with Caitlin B.
All right. Hi, everyone. So my name's Caitlin. I use she, her pronouns, or the she series, and I'm from Buffalo, New York. I'm a junior neuroscience major with an Edgar Fellow minor. That's our honors college. And the first thing that I would do once quarantine is over, I would probably go to Barnes & Noble because I'm a nerd like that. But I like sitting there for really long amounts of time, and I miss it. So that's probably the first thing I would do. That's it.
Hi everyone, I'm Eliza Mergis. I go by the she pronouns. I'm from Albany, New York. I am a rising senior. I'm a biology major with a math minor. And the first thing that I'm going to do when quarantine is over is go ride a horse, because I ride horses and I miss it.
Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Fair. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a junior. I'm going to be a senior biology major with a human development minor. I live in Adams, New York, which is like an hour north of Syracuse. And the first thing I want to do after quarantine is probably go to the mall and like see a lot of people in one space for once. I'm craving that for some reason, but I don't like shopping that much. I just want to do it.
Hey guys, my name is Caitlin Mundasel. I go by she, her, hers pronouns. I'm from Poughkeepsie, New York. I'm currently a junior, going to be a senior, and I'm a biology major with a Spanish minor. And the first thing I'm going to do is probably have a sleepover of some sort, like huge party, just like movies, everything, the whole shebang. That's what I'm going to do.
Hi, I'm Katie Munn. I go by she, her, hers pronouns. I'm from Saratoga Springs, New York. I am a sophomore, rising junior. I'm a childhood special education major with a minor in natural sciences. And I'm probably going to go hiking in the high peaks once quarantine is over.
Hi, I am Serena. I use she, her, hers. I'm from Long Island, New York, and I'm a sophomore biology major and human development minor. And probably the first thing I'm doing when quarantine is over is going to the beach with my friends.
Hi everybody, my name is Jess Kaplan. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm from Westchester, New York, and I am an American Studies poli-sci double major with a minor in sociology. And the first thing I'll do after quarantine is over is I'll probably just hug as many of my friends as I can, because I miss doing that.
Hi guys, I'm Amy. I'm a biology major. I go by she, her, hers. I'm from Rochester, New York. I'm a rising senior. And the first thing I'm going to do when quarantine is over is see my friends, because I haven't seen them in so long. And now that you guys have gotten a glimpse into who our panelists are, we're going to begin with the most commonly asked questions submitted through the Google form. And the first question is, how have you changed the most in college, and how has Geneseo influenced that change? We'll kick that off with Caitlin Munduckle.
All right, everyone. So the great thing about college is that it kind of takes who you are as a person in high school and just like emphasizes that to the max. So for me personally, I grew up as a dancer. I grew up, always loving to help people, always being a people person. And coming into Geneseo, you're not really sure where that fits in really. But thankfully there's like a lot of clubs, a lot of opportunities to expand your roles and like in however you want to do that. So you don't have to take leadership positions if you don't want to. You can just be, you know, like members. But for me, I joined a dance team. I wanted to work my way through it and eventually become captain these past couple years. And so you kind of take what you get and then you work with it. So Geneseo has all these opportunities like the dance, and then also Geneseo offers a first response program. So that kind of fit into like my work with trying to help people. So having patient experience and kind of doing that kind of stuff really, I really love doing that stuff. I don't know about you guys. And then obviously in academics, it works as well. So like I love biology, I love foreign languages, and then just kind of taking that and seeing all these different classes and all the things you can do with it, not just going to class and then going home, just kind of seeing, you know, seeing how far you can take with it. So like foreign language clubs or like biology clubs, being kind of one-on-one with your professors, you learn way, way more by being involved. And I think college really helps you do that. Nice. Yeah, I want to jump off the kind of having an area in Geneseo everywhere for any part of what you're interested in. I think that's absolutely true in terms of how you change most in college. I think in terms of how I changed most is probably through my extracurricular involvements. I mean, Geneseo is a liberal arts school, and the cool thing about that is that you grow a lot more as a person beyond the classroom. And that sounds kind of corny and cliche, but it's really true. If you decide to get involved in things, you really grow, not as a student, but also just, again, as a person. I've personally taken on a lot of student government roles and student leadership roles in that. And I think that has really changed just my outlook on life and how I view things and how I approach different things. I also think that I changed in terms of how I learn. Geneseo has a really rigorous academic standard, and it's motivated me. In high school, I was very much the person who appreciated the classroom and liked learning, but did just kind of go through the tests and making it to get the grades that I wanted and all that stuff. When I got to Geneseo, I really did learn, kind of changed my motivation behind going to school in terms of going to class to actually learn about the material. And I think the reason that I was able to make that switch was because of how rigorous Geneseo is in the professors' attitude towards how they teach. I mean, it's difficult, but there's support services and your professors really want you to learn the material. And I think that gave rise to my own personal change of how I approach learning just in the grand scheme of things. So I would say through extracurricular involvement as well as my academics were my biggest changes of just me as a person coming here.
Yeah, I'll build off of that too, what you were saying. I came into college thinking that I knew how to study, and I had totally no idea how to study. I mean, every major at Geneseo is difficult, especially like what I'm in as a bio major. Our curriculum is very difficult and very rigorous, so I kind of had to learn, especially as a freshman and sophomore, to kind of put my pride aside, as I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but just kind of reach out when I needed help and like go to tutors, go to SI sessions, go to your professors, and really kind of humble yourself in a way. But like it really taught me to be accountable for my own education. And I'll say another thing, like Caitlin and both Caitlins were saying, that activities will really change you, just because you'll find yourself, you know, moving up in a club or a sport, and you're learning how to become a leader and just really vouch for yourself and how you think. So I feel like both Caitlins were saying, like your education and your extracurriculars will really like change you a lot. So as you're going into Geneseo, I really encourage you to take advantage of everything you can. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you for all of your answers. Those were all great. Kind of building off of the idea of studying and everything. Can you describe Geneseo's student culture and the academic climate? And we'll start off with Caitlin B.
Nice. Yeah. So student culture and academic climate are very interrelated at Geneseo. I think it's funny. This is what I was told incoming as a first year, but it holds true today, is that everyone who goes here is a student first. They're very academically driven. They're very motivated to their studies, and they really go full out or full send when it comes to academics. But it's cool in that student culture, in addition to that academic standard that we all have and we all hold ourselves to, I've never come across a student who was just a student, who was just going to class and who was just doing work all the time. Every person who I've come across is in one club, two clubs, multiple clubs, holding multiple leadership positions and all that stuff. So I think something that's really unique about Geneseo is because we're in kind of our own little world in terms of where we go to school, we are very much focused on school as an entire environment to be living in. We fully become engrossed in it, in the social aspects and the academic aspects and the professional development aspects of it, because that's really all you can focus on. And so you have this idea of this advanced and high caliber academics, and then you also have your high caliber extracurriculars where you're highly involved in multiple different things and moving up the ladder, so to speak, in terms of leadership positions as you develop in Geneseo. So it's kind of this best of both worlds type of thing in terms of student culture and academic climate. And everyone's so supportive of each other in those roles, which I think is also really cool. And I think that is because kind of our size. We're about 5,500 students here. And so everybody kind of knows each other and supports each other in what their involvements are. So I think that's another aspect to it.
I think those are really great points, and I'm just gonna kind of talk about a little bit of that. I remember when I first was actually visiting Geneseo, I wasn't really sure if I was thinking about Geneseo or Buffalo, and I just came from Buffalo, which is like a huge school, and then coming to Geneseo, I was on a tour, and I just noticed how everyone for some reason was like weirdly nice. Like everyone is so nice, and I was like, what is it? Like, is this an upstate thing or? But it just turned out that that's the environment of Geneseo. Like, just as you were saying, Caitlin, that it's kind of like in its own little bubble. So everyone is there to support one another. And we're not just saying that, like a lot of us are in the same major. So we've met each other through that connection. And you can tell that within each major, no one's trying to, in some schools where some people just try to hit each other down, like just so they can get on top. Like Geneseo is very not like that, which I love. It's very like everyone is trying to work together to kind of be their best self, to learn as much as we can, even if, you're sharing your knowledge with someone else, like everyone appreciates it. And I think that's like one of the best parts about the academic and the student climate. And then especially with like professors and stuff, even they're like there to help you. They're there to work with you one-on-one. It's very, I liked what Eliza said before actually about your pride. Like no one is there judging you. No one is there to like kind of evaluate your knowledge, skills, and everything. It's just everyone is there to learn. Everyone has the same motivation because, we all just kind of want to help each other. So I really like that about Geneseo.
So I wanted to focus a little bit more on like this student culture aspect. Last semester, actually fall semester this year, I took a music gen ed class, and every class my professor would end the class by like asking the students what was going on like that night, that week, that weekend, as far as like different student clubs and organizations. And I learned so much about the different clubs on campus and like different organizations and like the culture of the campus. And I thought it was just really cool to see how much there was. And yeah, just so much to get involved in. The Club Expo at the beginning of the year, it's almost overwhelming how much there is. It's so cool and so rich. And so I think it's really awesome how much there is that you can learn about and do at Geneseo.
Thank you for all your responses with that. So this next question is pretty interesting. What do you guys recommend for choosing courses for the first semester? Should you focus on the breadth requirements or take important classes for your selected major?
So I think it's important when you're doing your classes, especially first semester, is to know your limits and what you're capable of. You don't want to overwhelm yourself because college classes and the coursework is a lot different than what you did in high school. Even if you were a top student in high school, it's a lot different. And you just want to be really careful. So what I did, I had I think there were 4 required classes I had to take in my major. And then I took 1 or 2 other classes that were gen eds. And then the next semester I did the same thing because I knew that was what worked for me and I didn't want to overwork myself. And I recommend when you're choosing your classes, pick what you need for your major, but also have your gen eds or some other class that would be interesting, because you don't want to overwhelm yourself with what's just in your major. You want some variety, and otherwise it can be a little bit overwhelming. So I definitely recommend having some sort of balance between what you need to take for your major and what you want to take for yourself also.
Going off of that, when I was choosing my courses for freshman year fall semester, it was kind of pretty obvious which ones I had to take because I knew I wanted to be a bio major. So you have to take like general bio, general chem, normally you have to take a math, things like that. So I would say if you know what your major is going to be, definitely take the needed courses, obviously. But also if you're unsure or just undecided about which major you want to go into, freshman year, it gives you some room to wiggle around. So I would say definitely take a lot of the courses that you take if you want to take intro and a few different subjects to see which ones you're interested in. You're not going to lose much because a lot of those intro courses are going to count towards general education requirements. So it kind of, I would say like fall semester is important, obviously. And if you do have a track that's pretty specific, like a science track or probably education, everything like that, that has to be like right on time, it's important to take like the necessary courses. But if you're unsure about what you want to take, it's okay to take that first semester to kind of dip into all the different subjects, because odds are very, very good they're going to count towards your general education requirements later. For like I said, for me, I knew I was going to be a bio major, so it was kind of laid out which classes I was going to take. But I would agree with Serena that it's good to have a balance, because when you're taking all math and science courses, it's good to take I don't even remember what I took. I can't remember what I took besides math and science, but it's good to have a balance.
So I am an education major, so I can vouch for that. There is a pretty set schedule. You'll get into your blocks, and you'll have specific classes you need to take. And as you progress in your blocks, the requirements do become more difficult and more challenging and time consuming. So I took my gen eds first and got those pretty much out of the way when I started to get more intense block work. So as an education major, I recommend that. However, for other other majors, I know it's different. But yeah, gen ed first for education seems to work the best.
Yeah, thank you for all of those answers. I feel like that's such great advice for incoming freshmen and everything. So for our next question, I want to ask, what do you dislike most about Geneseo, and how do you think it can improve? And we'll start off with Caitlin M.
All right, so as we said before, Geneseo is kind of a smaller campus, so word gets around pretty quickly. So in regards to communication, I think one problem that we've seen over at least my 3 years at Geneseo is that negative news can kind of go around really quickly and spiral out of control, leading to, students blaming people of power, like our president. But communication can be good in the right context, which I think our student association this year really stepped up to the next level. Shout out Caitlin B. They kind of put together a forum so that us students can talk to President Battles about our problems and about the issues we see on campus in regards to diversity, communication, anything you can think of, you can bring it out to her. And it's really nice to see that she actually wants to take care of those problems and make the campus a better place. So I think we're on our way to improvement in regards to that.
Yeah, jumping up with what Caitlin said, I would have to say that the lack of diversity at Geneseo was a shock to me, coming from a very, very diverse high school. If anyone Greece and New York, I went to Olympia. It's a very, very diverse high school. So coming to Geneseo, I was a bit like, what is this? But I soon learned that it is what you make of it. And it is you will absolutely find your tribe if you look for them. And, you get out of college what you put into it, like with most things in life. So I would say that, Geneseo can definitely improve with the diversity, but in order to do that, you need to be part of the conversation, and you need to have an interest in making the community better instead of just bringing it down. And I've made some of my best friends by in classes and in my major. And I think it speaks to how connected that Geneseo students are, that we care about these issues like diversity, inclusion, and that we're trying to make it better, even if it's not where it needs to be right now. There's room for improvement, and we see that.
So I absolutely agree with Caitlin and Amy. I am going to change gears a little bit. The library, not having a library this semester, that's definitely been something that I dislike. But there are definitely, I expected it to be more difficult, I think, than it was. There are so many places on campus to study. I lived on campus this year, and the study space in the dorms was so great, and just something I didn't utilize before when we had the library, but it really, I guess it ended up not being as big of a problem as I thought it would be, and I think as everyone else thought it would be. And I know we're going to talk about that later, but that's definitely something that I disliked at first.
Great. Thank you all for the advice. I'm sure that the incoming freshmen find it valuable. Another question we have for this session is, what has been your most memorable experience at Geneseo? And we'll kick it off with Serena.
So one of the clubs I'm in is Shakti, the South Asian Student Association. There's some Shakti members in here. Every year we put on this like big annual dinner, and we have performances, and we put on a play, and we serve South Asian cuisine, and we prepare for right after winter break we start preparing for like about a month. And I think joining Shakti and being a part of that is one of my most memorable experiences, because that's where I met some of my closest friends, and during that time I really made some strong bonds. And I've never danced before. I don't like going on stage, yet somehow I was convinced to do that, and it's really memorable, like doing something you've never done before, especially with the people who become your closest friends at school. I think that whole process and just joining that club, that's been one of my most memorable experiences here.
Yeah, kind of going off what Serena was saying about like breaking out of your comfort zone. I feel like I came from like a super small high school. There was like 100 people in my graduating class, and like most of the funding went towards football and stuff like that. So coming to Geneseo, I just felt like I had so much more freedom to explore like all these different interests I had, whether it was like writing or like even academically wise. So I would say one of my most memorable experiences was joining like crisis line at school. It's like a peer-to-peer based crisis line where people can call in, and I feel like I've met some of like my best friends on campus from that club, and also like can get the experience of helping people. And it is like such a way that I've broken out of my comfort zone, and I feel like it's really shown me like it's just taught me so many skills that like I otherwise wouldn't have known.
Yeah, going off what Jess said, I came into college on the pre-med track, and I'm still on the pre-med track, but one thing that I really disliked about shadowing was that I couldn't do on hands-on patient care. I couldn't do more than observe. So Geneseo being as small as it is, it's very, very easy to get involved in stuff that's off campus, and it still feels like it's on campus. So I'm involved with the Geneseo Fire Department, and we're mostly student run, but we respond to 911 medical calls across the village of Geneseo, the town, and the campus. So we work with Geneseo First Response, which is the on-campus response team, and we are the transporting agency, so we take people to the hospital. I've met some of my best friends there. Some of the people who have graduated from Geneseo, I still keep in contact because I've met them through there, and it's been one of my most rewarding experiences, being able to give back to a community that gave me so much. And I think it goes to show that, Geneseo is small but mighty. We have so much to offer, and you just kind of need to look for it. So I got involved by talking to people who were in Geneseo First Response and the fire department, and I like the fire department a lot. I could talk about it all day, but I think that it goes to show how connected the town is too. It's not just like the campus and then the city. It's like Geneseo as a whole is very, very connected. And I think that's one of the strong selling points for the school.
Yeah, definitely. And just to go back to a topic that Katie actually mentioned earlier, one major change our campus has been going through that I think we can all kind of bond over, like dealing with this, is that our library has closed. So to our panelists, I want to know, so how has everyone been dealing with the library not being open this year?
So I can talk about this. I don't want to speak for the collective group. I'll just speak for myself. Like Katie said, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. This is coming from someone who literally lived in the library. I would go from class to the library and do work all the time. I'd eat there because we had a little cafe in there. So I thought it would be crazy, like awful, to be honest. But like Caitlin was saying earlier, a lot of people in Geneseo really want to help you. So if you ask for help, they're more than willing to like go above and beyond to, really help you out. So like Caitlin was saying, like we organized a forum, and that was really helpful because a lot of my friends actually went and they talked to someone after the meeting, part of like the administration, and they said like we need more tables in like these buildings, and she was like, oh my god, I have no idea. And like the next week there were new tables. So it's really about asking for help and asking what you need instead of just kind of complaining about it. But a lot of the buildings are open way later than they would have ever been. There's study rooms open. They just opened a whole floor, I think, on Sturgis that is completely quiet. There's a whole room in the Union that's completely silent. So if people really need absolute silence to do work, there's way like more opportunities to get that now. So it is an inconvenience that the library is not there. I will full out say that, but it's not that we're like doomed. Like there are ways that you can get what you need and get study space and have collaborative areas for groups and stuff. So it's not the end of the world.
I had a quick thing to add on to that before we go on. So off of Eliza's point, it's definitely a noticeable change when we had the library and then it was kind of taken away from us as current students. But I will say that I've just through the purview of my positions in student government, I've been involved in conversations of how we're going to create this interim library space. And I think that like there's this vocabulary that we don't have a library anymore, which isn't actually true in that the library is just getting relocated to its original spot. So it's actually getting relocated to various parts of the campus like we've all been discussing now, but it also is gonna have its own host of a building, which is in Fraser for people familiar with the campus, and just kind of returning to where it was before we had the original library. So we don't have what was originally the library of what we knew it as, but it is just relocating, and we still have all of the same services, and we still have these study spaces, but it still exists. It just looks a little bit different. So I think it's noticeable for us as current students versus as incoming students. It's kind of just like, oh, we have a library. It's just over here now, and you're introduced to it in a different way. So I just wanted to point that out. Yeah.
Just to hop off of that, I would agree with that a lot. I think that since this was my third year and a lot of other people on this panel's third year, being used to going to the library all the time, having it all of a sudden not be there was a pretty big shock because we do live there, or I know like I did and a lot of people here did. But I think honestly the biggest thing is that like we valued it as a social space. We pretty much knew that like after any class, if you wanted to find someone to go over like homework, you knew you could go to the library and normally find them there. So the trickiest thing now, I would say, and the school has been really good about providing more study space in all the buildings, extending hours, putting up tables everywhere. But I would say the trickiest thing now, even with the like extended study space, is finding a place for everyone to congregate, because a lot of the academic buildings are, well, if you don't know, Genesee is on a hill. So a lot of the academic buildings are on top of the hill, and a lot of times people congregate where there's food. So since there's no food options that much on the hill anymore, besides a food truck that we have, it's kind of tricky to stay in one place for a while. And a lot of the tables and stuff aren't quite as big as like an actual library. But besides just getting used to that social aspect, not being able to like hop back and forth between like the library and classes, I would say that, like, the library not being there hasn't been, like, horrible. I think we've just noticed it because we've been at Geneseo for a while, but I think, like, Caitlin and Eliza, I think it was Eliza. Yeah, Eliza were saying, was that freshmen, I don't think are going to notice that much of a difference because the library is pretty much just moved and kind of like spread out so that there's more options for places to study now. So I think it's fine ultimately. I think it's breaking even.
Yeah, jumping off of what Rachel said, the library was a really, really big social spot, especially for science majors and like the sports teams. So I know I could always count on my friends being there after class, or like before class starts, I'd go to the library and then we'd all go to class together. With that not being open, I found that Main Street restaurants like Cricket's Coffee or Sweet Arts are good places to study too. They tend to get a little bit more crowded, but I mean, they're fine alternatives. And I found that I like Bailey a lot now too, which is the social sciences building. It has some really, really, really nice study spaces, and I really like those. Also, like, because they have whiteboards too, and I use whiteboards a lot when I learn information. So along with that, the Union has conference rooms that are amazing. Love them. Will steal them any chance I have. And it also has a quiet study room in the on the bottom floor. So those are great options for us. The library not being open, it sucks, to be quite frank, but it's because, like, going off of what they said, we've been here for 3 years. We've been using the library. It's been a staple in our lives. So having it be gone impacts us a lot harder than it would impact you guys, because you're not coming in having it. So it's not going to hurt you as much as you think.
And even to kind of, oh, sorry.
Oh, no,
Even to kind of like build off everything that everyone is saying is like, Geneseo, we're really good at adapting. So, you know, if people are really motivated to get their work done and really like learn their courses, it really won't matter where they are. Obviously, we would love to have a big social space and like that also is a study space. But at the end of the day, like what everyone is saying, it's like we kind of make do with what we have. And like now that there's like another library that's going to be in Fraser, it's going to be like way better. So it's kind of just adapting with what we have, I guess, which has been good.
I just wanted to add something quick. A good thing about the library kind of being like split up and put in different places is that there's a lot more opportunities to print things now, which might not seem like a huge deal, but there's so many more buildings now that have printers. So you don't have to like book it to the library before your class to like print something. And there's more like colored printers around campus now. And I was just gonna add on to what I was saying earlier, but I think the library being closed has probably hit upperclassmen, specifically people who live off campus, the most, because I know that I and a few people here live about a mile away from campus. So when you have an hour between classes and everyone else on campus has an hour between classes, sometimes it might be tricky to find a place to sit down. And the library a lot of times was a place where we could go. People who are on campus, they can utilize like the study rooms, which are very helpful. But it's just kind of trickier for people who are off campus because we don't have like a landing spot to go back to between classes. But I just wanted to add that in, that like freshmen and sophomores or juniors and seniors even who live on campus, they have those study rooms which they can totally utilize, which are very helpful and very quiet normally. So.
Hey, yeah, thank you all for your extensive answers on the library. We're gonna be moving on to a rapid fire section of the Q&A. So we'll just have a bunch of short questions and everyone on the panel will be answering them. So our first short question is to ask, what was all of your favorite first year class that you took? And we'll start with Eliza.
Okay, so mine was not in my major. It was a INTD course that's required for freshmen. It's like a writing course. And it, oh my gosh, I think it was called like well-being lessons from India. It was like a sociology class. And the professor, his name is Steve Durnay. If you have an opportunity to take a class with him, please take a class with him.
I didn't know you took that class.
You were in a class?
No, I don't think I was in your class. Did you take it fall semester?
Oh, we took it spring.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
so funny.
We should talk about this.
Okay,
That was
sorry.
the best class I've ever taken. This man was so cool. We read his book, but like his book wasn't that expensive, so it's not like we're paying him. And he said that the little amount of money that we paid him would go to a charity at the end of the semester. He taught us how to hula. We only had to write, I think, 3 papers, but like they were so cool. They were like kind of reflecting back on your life. So it was just a really cool class where you could like really reflect on your life coming in as a freshman to college and also learn how to hula and like have fun in class. It was so great. Love that class.
Mhm.
So my favorite was a physics elective called Science of Sound. And it was my favorite because I became really close with my lab partners, and it was like first semester, like I knew just like my roommate and a few other people. So it was really great to like really get to know these people in a short amount of time, and I'm still friends with some of them now.
I would say my favorite class was an intro English class that I took, and it used like basic text to study like the impacts of gender, race, and class. And I'm really into that stuff, so I like absolutely loved it. And every year since, I've taken a class with that professor.
My favorite class was definitely Calc for a Biologist with Gary Towsley. Not because I like calculus, but because Gary Towsley, he's so cute. He's like Santa. He wore basically the same thing every day. So if you have to take Calc for Biologist, take it with him.
I feel like my first year class were all like boring, so I'm gonna talk about a class I'm taking now. It's actually creative writing with Jess over there. It's really fun for me because my classes are usually super stressful, super like work heavy. But this one, I'm also very like an artsy person on the down low. So like these type of classes like foreign language and creative writing really kind of adheres to that. So I don't know, it's really fun, and you kind of just write whatever you want, and it's just kind of stress relieving. I like it. Matt Katula, take it.
All right, I would say I want to jump off Eliza's. The IID 105, I took that same course but spring semester, and that was a good one. I actually met Caitlin M. and Rachel through that class, so it's cool that we still were there. But I would say my favorite first year class was my general chemistry class, because the professor was absolutely awesome, Dr. Yokoyama. He was hilarious. He would pick on people. I was his go-to volunteer student, and it just was hilarious. And people still, to this day, people come up to me and they're like, "Were you that girl who Dr. Yoko made you volunteer like every single day in the lecture to like show your practice problems?" And I'm like, "Yes, that was me 3 years ago," and still people come up to me. So it was a good time. Definitely one of my favorites.
Okay, this is funny because I was literally going to say my first general chemistry class with Dr. Yokoyama, because that guy's a character, and just he would just make chemistry like so much more fun than you would think it would be. And the class itself, looking back on it now, compared to like other science and chem courses, it was just like a breeze, and he was just such a funny guy, and I literally remember him calling on Caitlin and making her do everything, so that's funny. But no, I just really enjoyed that course because if you haven't noticed, like professors kind of make the course sometimes. So a lot of us, our favorite courses have to do with how good the professor was. So what a guy.
Yeah, jumping off of what you guys said, mine is a toss-up between my INTD. I took skepticism, conspiracy theories, and critical thinking with David Hahn. Love that man. He is so funny. And General Chem 2 with Yokoyama. Both of them are just like iconic characters. David Hahn just like, he takes conspiracy theories and he's like, here's why this is stupid, and like makes you write a paper about it. But it's fun because it's like you're doing research on stuff that isn't usually research, you know? And for Gen Chem, Chem got a lot harder. Yeah. And Yoko, I still see him in the halls sometime, and he's like, "Amy, hi." I'm like, "Hello." And it's just like when you're one of like 100 students, it feels really good to have a professor remember who you are. And it goes to show how funny Yoko is and how dedicated he is to teaching. Because if you go to him for office hours, he will definitely help you. And he's just such a funny guy. You'll pay attention in class, like you can't fall asleep. With the jumping off of what everyone said with the library, what's your guys' favorite place to study?
Mine is probably the college union. There's a lot of places to study in the union, and there are also some options for food, so you don't really have to go far. It's a great social place, so I'd say the union.
I was also going to say the union. I'm fortunate. I have like an office in there through my student leadership things called the SA office, and so I kind of go there. But there's also a quiet study section that I absolutely live in the union. It's nice. It's like closed off and just silent, and you get everything done. It's perfect.
So this is hard for me because I'm pretty fortunate that I don't really need a quiet space or any type of study space to study. I can just put earbuds in and listen to music and do my work pretty much anywhere. But I really like Bailey's classrooms. Once all the classes are done around, I think the latest class goes to like 8 p.m. or something like that. So once all of those are over, all of the rooms pretty much stay open until I think 11 or 11:30. And a lot of the rooms have ceiling to floor whiteboards. So you can write on them, and as long as you erase everything by the time you leave, you pretty much have the room. So I usually just plug my laptop into the aux system and play some music and cover the whiteboards and whatever I'm studying, and it's great.
I was also going to say either Bailey, which is one of the buildings, if you guys don't remember that, or the Union, because the Union has a bunch of different places you can study. The conference rooms, as long as they aren't being used, you can honestly camp out in those all day. There's the quiet study area. There's a whole bunch of tables upstairs and downstairs, and there's food options, which is probably like the most important thing. But then also Bailey, a lot of times if there's not a class going on in a room, especially during finals week, you can definitely camp out in there too.
So I'm the kind of person who can't sit in one place and study, so I kind of move around campus. And I'm also like, I just kind of go wherever there's a whiteboard. So definitely Bailey, the Union. I don't think anyone else mentioned the ISC, which is the Integrated Science Center. There's a bunch of different labs that you can take advantage of, like classrooms, and there's also couches and like a bunch of different places. And then if you live off campus, I know at a certain time of the night, I cannot be on campus anymore, so I just go home, and I have my own whiteboards there, and you have a kitchen, like you could snack. So that's really fun. But I think one of the more unique things is I'm a part of Geneseo First Response, and we have a squad room in the basement of Wyoming, which is a residence hall, and a lot of us utilize that if you're on GFR. As a study space, and a lot of people there could help you because a lot of them are in the same major, so that's really helpful as well, and it's pretty quiet in there, so that's fun.
Yeah, when it comes to like hardcore grinding to study, I like to go into ISC because there's this one room where it's just all whiteboards, and I really like going in there. But also, if you live on campus, which freshmen will, take advantage of the study rooms in your residence hall, because I know this past semester, the residence hall that a lot of my friends lived in, we were in there basically every night doing work, like in the lounge or in a study room. So especially with no library, studying in the residence halls is a great way to get to know the people that live with you, and you might be able to, or like not with you, but like in your building, and you might be able to recognize some people from your classes and like ask them for help and stuff. So definitely take advantage of that.
I would say one of my favorite places to study is a place on Main Street called Crickets. It has such a good vibe. It's so cozy, and the coffee and the sandwiches are 10 out of 10. So I would definitely recommend you go there. It's an awesome coffee shop on Main Street.
For me, I would have to say either Bailey, one of the study rooms there, with whiteboards, because whiteboards and natural light for me are A1. Or ISC, but like in the ISC, like there's vending machines and there's like little whiteboards with tables that are pretty secluded. I really like those, and also the Union conference rooms. And being in Geneseo Fire Department, we have the whole fire hall that we can use, and it has a lounge, a kitchen, really, really nice conference room with a whiteboard. So you can use that if you're a member or if you're with a member, but it's a really good study space that I use a lot.
Yeah, thank you for all those answers. And the next question is, what's your biggest regret in college so far? And I'll start off. Freshman year, I took a like 400 level English class, which was a big mistake. Because I feel like your freshman year, you're just kind of trying to like see how classes are and kind of get a feel for everything. And it was with a really tough professor. So I would say definitely use rate my professor. It's definitely your friend. And freshman year, maybe just, I mean, if you think you can handle 400, like go for it. But I would recommend against it just because I feel like you can kind of work towards that through your years and maybe like go towards it like junior and senior. But I feel like freshman year is kind of the year to like get a hang of everything. So that's what I would say.
I would say my biggest regret was being shy first semester of freshman year. Don't be afraid to go to clubs, even if you just go to one meeting and you're like, I don't like this, and then leave. At least you went. So I think really just opening yourself up and like don't be too shy first semester. That would be my biggest regret because I only joined one club and I was just like really like because I'm a shy person, so that's my biggest regret.
Mine is definitely the same. I went to the Club Expo and like put my email down for all these different clubs, and I really only ended up pursuing one of them. So I definitely wish that I stuck with more of them.
For me, I'm just gonna kind of take a different spin on this. I regret not going to enough hockey games. They're so fun. I think I went to 2, but they're the biggest, sports event on campus, and everyone gets together in the ice rink, and it's really fun. Kind of cold, but really fun. But it's just awesome to see the campus get together for something like a sports event. It's really fun.
I would say probably my biggest regret was not taking studying seriously freshman year. I pretty much came in from high school thinking that I didn't have to study because I never really had to that much. And college classes are very different from high school classes, no matter how well you did in high school. And my pride, like Eliza was saying, my pride was just like way too up there, and I didn't go to office hours, which if a professor holds office hours and you are not getting the grade you want, please go to office hours because they are so helpful. They can be your lifeline. There could be something so small that's just not clicking, and you can just go in for 5 minutes and they'll fix it. So I think freshman year, I thought I was like gonna nail everything, and that's not what happened. So make sure your pride isn't too high. Be humble.
Yeah, I was literally just going to say the same thing. Like freshman year, I thought like I was fine. I graduated high school, like, and like the high honor roll, like all this stuff. And I genuinely thought I had a good handle on my like homework and everything like that. But when you get to college, you realize that your tests aren't your homework. It's like the hardest questions on your homework times like 10. So definitely if you have SIs for any of your classes, make time in your schedule to go to them. If you have TAs, tutors, study hours, office hours, anything like that, take advantage of the help that they give you because it's really, really valuable and really helpful. I know for my physics 1 class, my professor seemed a little intimidating at first, but I was really having trouble on my homework, and I went to them, and he will roast you in his office hours, but he was so good, so helpful, and genuinely like a nice person, and I'm so glad I ended up going to his office hours. I went every week, and I finished his class with a good grade, and now he just wrote me a letter of recommendation for vet school. So take that as a learning opportunity, like learn from my mistakes, because freshman year I was shy and scared and I didn't want to admit that I needed help. But when you do, you really greatly benefit from it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like with the same mindset, but a little different. I would say one of my regrets throughout my 3 years is that sophomore year, I did not let myself have a break. Sophomore year is really when you pick up in terms of, especially if you're a STEM major, you just pick up taking on more advanced classes. It's one of the hardest semesters because you have such a high demand of how many credits you have to be taking to stay on track with your courses. It's really when things start to hit you in terms of how complicated and difficult things get. And sophomore year, I really did not let myself take a second to relax when I had a lot of things going on in terms of academics, and even my extracurriculars could get too much at times too. And I just forced myself to keep studying, to keep attending meetings, and to keep going nonstop as if I was never ending in terms of amount of energy that I had. And that really caused me to kind of burn out partway through sophomore year, and it just kind of made everything feel a lot heavier and harder to complete. So I would say let yourself have a break when you need it. That was a big thing sophomore year that I learned about a lot for this year, and junior year it was a lot more successful than last year. So I would say let yourself have a break once in a while when you need it.
Going off of that, I'm going to switch tracks a little bit. I would say be careful of your time and how you use it. Time management was something I had learned the hard way. I thought sophomore year, like end of sophomore year, beginning of junior year, I thought I could take on research, school, volunteering. I thought I could take on all of it, and I couldn't. I burned out really, really fast. My mental health took a dip for the worst. And I really the effects of that semester still follow me. So if you learn one thing from college, it's time management. You learn how to manage your time, and you learn to prioritize what's important to you. And you have to make the hard decisions of figuring out what is important to you, even if it may contrast with your friends or what your family thinks should be important for you, because those are the things you're going to get the most out of in college. And those are the things that you have to decide what you're allowing yourself to use your time for. And I would say if you're a STEM major, definitely or any major in college, you're paying for an education. School should be number one because it's not free. But make sure that with school you balance something, but you balance it well.
Yeah, I'm just going to build off that. From my experience, working hard definitely pays off. But if you work hard to the point where you're only working hard, it won't pay off at all because you're just going to, like Amy said, you're just going to burn out. So definitely, like Caitlin said, go to a hockey game. Stop studying for a few hours, go to a hockey game, have fun with your friends, and then go back to studying. It's all about balance.
Yeah. Another question we got was, what's the first day like after move-in day? So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, my first day after move-in day, honestly, it was such a weird time for me. It was exciting, but it was also nerve-wracking because especially for first years, the next day you have after move-in is entirely free. You move in on a Friday, at least my year did. You move in on a Friday, and then you have the whole weekend to get acclimated to Geneseo's environment. And so there's some things that the school offers in terms of meeting people. And so after I moved in, my roommate and I would go to these events, and we would start socializing with other first years. And it was nerve-wracking, but also everyone who is a first year or transfer student or is spending their first time at Geneseo is in the exact same boat as you. They want to meet other people. It's almost like an excited desperation for new friends. And so you're going throughout the campus and you're interacting with students who are experiencing independence for the first time in some cases. And so the first day after move-in, it's this weird combination of excitement and potential, but also nerves of you don't really know what to do. So just really find a partner, find your suite mates, find your roommates, and just go through school together and take advantage of what the school offers in terms of structured socialization opportunities. I think those were really helpful for me.
So my first day after move-in was a little different. I actually moved in a few days early because I did, I don't know if they still have this program, but it's a Letchworth exploration program. I don't really know what it's called, but I did that with 12 other people. So we moved in 4 days early, and we ended up spending 3 days in Letchworth where we slept in cabins and hiked all day. So I actually came into move-in day, already moved in, and with actually a group of friends. So my day after move-in day was actually not too bad. So if you have an opportunity to to move in early and do a program like that, if you like nature, if you like doing stuff like that, hopefully it's still available. I don't know if it will be for the pandemic, but I loved that opportunity. But I also remember like the first day of move-in day, like meeting my suite mates and my roommate. Everyone's so nervous, but like Caitlin said, you're all in the same boat. So definitely break out of your comfort zone to like meet new people, but also like stay true to yourself. So if you're like quiet, don't like try too hard if that's, if you're, taking that the wrong way, but like definitely stay true to yourself, but like try and meet new people, if that made sense at all.
So the day after move-in day, it was actually the day before I had met Jess and Caitlin M. It's funny. But so the day after that, they had, they call them the first year Olympics, which was pretty much, they have the whole field that's next to all the freshman dorms. It's just a bunch of field games, and they split you guys into teams. They give out, I think they give out free t-shirts to the first 200 people. And pretty much like several hours of the very hot afternoon, we played a whole bunch of like field games, which have a very interesting way of bonding you to people that you don't know at all. So it was really funny, just watching like everyone interact. I can't talk about this without laughing. Like me and Caitlin, we hopped in like a potato sack together, which was like interesting because like one of us could jump further than the other.
And now we live together.
So I think like those events like that Caitlin B mentioned, they're just a great way to get out there and meet people, because there were a few people that I met there. I had no idea who they were. Everyone's in the same boat. Everyone just wants to, have fun. And when you have these teams and you're split up and you're having competitions and like there's water games and just all these fun things, it's a great way to just get out there and be yourself and try to make some friends. So I would say first day, don't put too much pressure on yourself because everyone's in the same boat. Don't come home like that day and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't get like 5 people's phone numbers. Like, it's okay, you'll have time. But definitely take advantage of all those activities that the college puts on. They're a great way to meet people.
Yeah, I was literally going to say everything that you said, but good points, Caitlin, Liza, Rachel. I'm not going to repeat what they said, but I just want to add on that those first couple of days, it's going to be a blur. Like, you're not going to remember all these people's faces because you're going to be overwhelmed by the entire class, and you're all asking the same questions. What major are you? It's all going to sound the same. But eventually, weeks into it, you're going to find your people. I swear, you're going to find your squad. Don't worry about it. It's all like going to work out. And even if, you think you have, this big group the first day and it doesn't work out, that's okay. There's like a bunch of other groups on campus. And especially as you go to the, expo, kind of see what you're interested in, you'll find people who have the same interests, and then it'll all work out. It'll be fine. Don't be nervous.
For me, it was such a busy first day, and I feel like that was good. It kind of got my mind off the fact that I just left my family, and it was really great to meet new people. I met someone from orientation, which I don't know if you guys have any to do. I assume not, but I'm not sure. But we just kind of were buddies throughout the day, and we met different people, and yeah, the events were great, very like icebreakers. We met with like the RAs and kind of like learned the lay of the land as far as the residence halls, and yeah, it was a busy day, but it was a good day.
Yeah, jumping off of that, I don't remember the first few days. I remember bits and pieces, but I don't remember in detail what happened. And it goes to show like how busy it is, that it's just like you're trying to take in everything and you're not going to be able to, and that's okay. So I met one of my best friends to this day from orientation, and we stuck together on move-in day and after move-in day, and it was a blast. I think the college puts on like, what is it, a party on the green or something? It's like they have like first night. It's so much fun. Definitely go if you can. I remember like my mom crying when she had dropped me off. She's like, do you need anything else? Do you need anything else? I'm like, no, bye. Take the time to thank your family, because you're not going to see them for a few weeks, a few months, especially if you live farther away, and it's most likely the first time you're going to be away from home. So, be graceful with that, but be aware that you're at college, and, you have all of these new opportunities that you can be exploring, and you definitely should. And with what Caitlin said, it's okay if like you're not friends with the people on your floor. Like, you will find other friends. I promise you, you will find other friends. The friends I made freshman year aren't the friends I have now. And it goes to show, like, the connections you make in college can change, but you'll leave with really, really deep connections. Yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
I was things as someone who was more shy going in and like definitely really nervous. It helped me so much to have Caitlin M by my side. I told her right away, I was like, you like, I don't know, I was like, you need to like push me to do things because I'm not the one to like jump into things. And she was so like great about it. So honestly, finding like one person who pushes you out of your comfort zone and like helps you talk to new people was really helpful. I like would not have gone to the first year Olympics, and she was like, no, it'll be so fun. And we met like some really like nice people there. So just like even finding just like one person who you can like connect with and who can help you through like such an anxiety provoking process can be really helpful. And then the second thing I would say is definitely be open-minded. When I met Rachel on this panel, I was like, oh, what's your major? And she said it was science. And I was like, I'm never going to talk to her again. And now she's one of my best friends and like housemates. So I would say like, don't like go in with an open mind and be open to being friends with like I was like, oh, I'll never see her. But we just like, I don't know, we just hit it off, and you never know like who you're going to hit it off with. So I'll just be open-minded to like the people you meet.
Yeah, I agree. The first week was such a blur. All I remember is that it was really hot, but Geneseo puts on so many different events for students to interact with each other. Like, go to them. You can go by yourself, go with your roommate. Just take the advantages you have to meet new people, because it's always going to be an experience.
Okay, yeah, thank you for all of those answers. Our last question is, how accessible is finding off-campus housing?
Yeah, I could kind of touch on this one. I actually have not lived off campus at all during my 3 years, and next year I will also be living on campus. So this is an interesting question for me, but I'll kind of send a plug for on-campus housing, in that you do get basically all encompassing. You get the social aspects of living on campus, and you also get basically all assets that you need for living all in one place. And you also have the support of your residence life staff. The reason I actually do live on campus is because I serve as a resident assistant, which is basically just the helpers of the hall to make it a more comfortable living environment. But they're a really good resource in terms of when you're struggling with certain things and all that. However, I have seen my friends go through the off-campus housing process, and some of them start out as early as like the September before the next academic year that they're moving off campus. And then there's others who I know found off campus housing as late as like frantically searching in the July months when leases have to be signed immediately and all that stuff. So it's definitely out there. You just have to find the connections, and a lot of that time come from knowing people who live in a certain house before that, and then touring and all that stuff. So I'll let other people take this question, I think.
So like I mentioned before, I live off campus. A lot of juniors and seniors live off campus, but RAs and stuff obviously live on campus, like Caitlin was saying. I think one thing that definitely came as a huge surprise my sophomore year was that sophomore year, I was just starting to be on campus for my second year, and every one of my junior friends was saying, oh my gosh, in the first couple of weeks of September, that they hadn't signed a lease yet. This was so like bad, like they need to sign a lease. And I was like, you have a whole year. And Geneseo is unique, I would say, because a lot of landlords and a lot of students who are getting housing, it all happens in the first, I would say, 3 weeks probably of September. So our sophomore year, I know that we, I can't remember the name of them, but there's a lot of different housing sites. A lot of different housing sites for websites for Geneseo. There's also a lot of ads that you'll see just all over like different campus buildings. So I would just say like probably your second week in September, it's like the best time to just reach out to different landlords and then go and like tour houses and stuff. Something that might seem obvious, but I didn't know, is that a lot of the housing that's obviously closer to Geneseo, like the campus is going to be more expensive. Right above Geneseo's campus, we have Main Street, which is where all of the stores are. There's a lot of apartments that are above the restaurants there, but those are a lot more expensive. Whereas the place where, I'm gonna out us here, but the place where me, Amy, Jess, and Caitlin M live is about a mile away, and it's at least, I don't know, like at least $500 cheaper per semester than places that are right next to campus. But a good thing to keep in mind is, I don't want to cover too much of it here, is that there's houses that you can rent out, but then there's also a lot of apartments that are available for rent too. But I'll stop so people have things to talk about.
So I noticed just walking around in Geneseo, you would see like for rent signs everywhere, and they would have like a number to call. And so it was really easy to find like where places are available. My group, we also use like websites, and definitely it was like the second or third week of September, we were already like looking at houses for the next year, which is a little bit crazy, but yeah, so definitely start early, and it's really not a difficult process. It's easy to find places.
Going off of that, I'd say even if you don't look early, there's always people subletting, always people who are last minute studying abroad. So I would say, like, if you have a group, it's pretty easy. Even if you want to live by yourself, it's pretty easy. Just like be on top of it and make sure you find a spot if you're looking off campus.
Yeah, I'll build off of that too. So definitely choose your group. Keep in mind that like certain people you may have lived in like a dorm with may not necessarily be compatible when you have a kitchen and a living room and basically a whole house or apartment to yourselves. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. I'll speak from experience in terms of like the actual house. My group knew that like we wanted to live closer to campus, so we looked at one house on Main Street, and the landlord seemed fine. The house was really cute, and we signed the lease. It was the only thing we looked at, and it ended up being probably the worst decision I've ever made. The house was it was definitely falling apart. Our landlord was kind of crazy, so definitely look in different places. Talk to the landlord a lot before you sign a lease. Talk to them, look at the lease before you sign it. Just like normal things that maybe I am just stupid and I didn't realize, but just be careful with where you go, because some houses are better than others. So you definitely want to get a good bang for your buck, I guess.
I totally agree with like everything that's been said as well. Just kind of when you're looking at a house, looking at off-campus living, what you want to prioritize. So like if utilities are included, if you have to bring your own furniture, kind of deciding what you want to do. If it's important for you to be super next to campus, and that like little bit of a higher price doesn't really matter to you, then go for that. But then there's also, like Rachel was saying, where we live, like a mile up the hill. So when you think about it, you don't really want to be walking that uphill mile after classes are done. So maybe investing in a car if you're already bringing a car. Kind of decisions like that you kind of have to think about. And it's weird thinking about it that early, but it's important to think about.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't realize how early you had to start considering this, because when I was like maybe my second year freshman, Caitlin and Rachel were talking about like finding a house and like living together for like the next year, and I'm like, oh wow, you have to start thinking about that early. And then the beginning of sophomore year, I signed a lease with my friends for an apartment, which was pretty close to campus. So there's just a lot to look at, and just make sure that you're looking at all your options and you're staying on top of it, because it does go by really, really fast. And then if you make decisions later on, or you just like you put it off, you could miss out on opportunities.
Yeah, building off of that, I would say your biggest source of information are upperclassmen. So make sure you talk to your upperclassmen friends. Make sure you talk to whoever is living off campus, because I avoided a pretty bad landlord that way. And I actually live with some of the people in this chat, and I didn't find the house until they were like, hey, we need another person. Can you come live with us? And I said yes because I needed a place to live, and I was like, yeah. But it is a mile uphill, and you have to consider Geneseo hills are brutal, especially in the winter. So keep in mind, like, you need to be able to, if you don't have a car, you need to be able to work the bus system really well. If you do have a car, you need to think about parking. But I would say get involved early because the good spots tend to get filled up pretty quickly.
Okay, yeah, thank you all for your answers. We're gonna move on to the audience participation section. This will be about 15 minutes. And so if you have a question, feel free to use the raise hand feature in Zoom, or you can drop it in the group chat. You could also private message one of the moderators, which is me or Amy.
Yeah.
If you like to anonymize the questioning, and for everyone else, please stay muted while someone asks their questions, and feel free to direct it at the entire panel, at a specific person, whatever you'd like.
Ask about anything and everything that you have questions about.
Okay, does anyone have a question, or should we just conclude the session?
Is anyone typing out a question? Okay. Oh, someone did raise their hand.
Oh.
Okay. We'll go to Abby first. Oh, sorry. For the anonymity part of it. We're gonna go to Margaret second. So someone asked, I'm looking into a physician assistant track. How do I get involved and volunteer at hospitals and such? So does anyone in particular want to answer this?
I can. I'm not on a PA track. I'm on a pre-vet track, but it kind of goes hand in hand. So you can sign up for pre-health emails. So we have a pre-health advisor, and she's really good about sending out available internship opportunities and summer job opportunities, or really any opportunity, either, whether it's scholarship or internships or whatever. I'll speak from experience. My freshman year, I got an internship through her working on a dairy farm. So she knows a lot of people who provide Geneseo students with a lot of opportunities. If you don't see any emails that pertain to like PA students or anything like that, you can definitely go to her and ask. If you want to become part of like the GFR organizations, yeah, or the fire department, definitely do that. And then you can ask upperclassmen for any opportunities like that. So definitely ask, but you will, you will get provided with information too.
Yeah, building off of that, I'm on the pre-med track, so volunteering and putting time into that is very important to me. So I found that there's Teresa House in Geneseo, which is like a hospice community that you can volunteer at. There's Geneseo Fire Department, there's Geneseo First Response, and then we have a couple, like we have an urgent care local to us, and other hospitals are a little bit of a drive. So I'd say get involved early and figure out how to approach these people. So like for fire department, I found the easiest way to get into it was by asking a current member, and then they could ask their superior to get me an application. I know people who volunteer at Teresa House. I volunteered for the Home Away from Home Respite Center for people with memory-related illness, and I got involved with that from an email that was sent out for like volunteers needed. So I think there are opportunities, you just need to look for them, or you need to keep an eye out for them. Does that answer your question? Okay, moving on to Margaret.
I could take this one since I'm a neuroscience major. So this is a good question. Neuroscience was actually the reason I committed to Geneseo. When I was a first year, my senior year of high school, when I was touring here, it was something they were really advertising for in a new and upcoming program. It's probably one of our more selective probably one of our most selective majors offered currently, just because it is starting out. I remember when I applied, I think they accepted 8 students at the end of my first year. So it's along those lines. But you are absolutely right in that admissions, you have to apply for the program at the end of your first year, beginning of your sophomore year. So I did exactly what you're referring to in that last question. I entered as a psychology major, and I'm following the pre-med track. So a psychology major entering my first year. And basically I followed all the courses that I needed for my pre-med track and were also included in the neuroscience major. So that for first year classes, that includes general chemistry, that includes general biology, that includes sociology, intro to psychology, other psych courses, etc. So make sure that you're taking the classes that apply to neuroscience, because I'll tell you that the application, at least my year, it was just, you were only eligible after your first year at Geneseo, and then the application was GPA, what classes have you taken, and that was it, and then you sent it in. So it was just entirely how successful have you been in these classes and how much did they apply to the major. And so basically, you work really hard your freshman year. I personally took that Gen Chem class, Gen Bio. I took a music class for my Gen Eds. I took my intro to psych class. And then my spring semester, I took an upper level psychology class, continuing Gen Bio and Gen Chem, took my sociology class, and then my IMPD 105, or basically the writing seminar that you need. So you basically follow your first year requirements in those general courses, work as hard as you can during them, show that you're qualified to take on the neuroscience major. And then at the end of my first year, I emailed the department head, Terry Bizet, Dr. Bizet, he's a really cool guy. And I just requested the application, filled it out, sent it back, and then received a notice a few weeks later that I was accepted into the program for my sophomore year. So that's essentially the process of it. Just work hard your first year, apply for it, see if you get accepted. If you don't get accepted your first year, I know a few people who didn't get accepted the first time they put an application in. They reapplied after the next semester and then they were accepted. So it's definitely not just a one-shot opportunity. It's anything, basically you have up until your fall semester of junior year to declare it as a major. So you have a lot of opportunities to apply. And you are considered a Bachelor of Science for neuroscience. You're not a psychology major once you're in the major, if that makes sense. Does that fully answer your question, Margaret? I noticed that this was sent to me privately, so not everyone saw that that was a question, but it was about the neuroscience program. Yeah, it answers it. Okay.
Can anyone here speak to the work study opportunities and internship opportunities that Geneseo has?
So I'm a work study student, and that's given to you from financial aid. So after you send in your FAFSA and everything, when Geneseo gives you your financial aid packet, work study will be on there and you can accept it. And once you get work study, there's a website you can go to. I forgot what it's called. I think it's Handshake. Like if you get accepted, you'll see. And from there you can look at the different work study jobs and like in the different departments. So the one I did was in the bio department, and they assigned me a professor that I work with. So mine is the anatomy physiology professor, and I've worked with him for the past 2 years. And honestly, they just give you like little bit jobs to do. So sometimes he has me cleaning up lab, like cleaning some of the appliances, or like using one of the machines and making stuff. It really depends on the professor. And then you just fill out a timesheet and you do that. And then also I'm an intern at the health promotion office and health cards. And with that, I do like, I make like posts for the Healthy Geneseo thing, and like we put on wellness events on campus, and yeah.
Did that answer your question?
And like you can access, like there's you can go on like the career like services website and or development, and you can go to them and you can ask them for help with internships and stuff, because I know a lot of people get internships through there, and that's a really big help for students who are looking for internships and may not have any connections or may not know where to start.
Does anyone else have any questions? Final call. Anyone? No? Okay, cool. Well, thank you guys for taking the time to be here. Thank you to our panelists for taking the time to be here. And we want to take a moment to invite you all to help expand CollegeSide Chats. It's very much a word of mouth project, and we need all the help we can get. Our goal is to host several chats across various universities, and we need help with the marketing and outreach, which can be as simple as helping us post our next chat in another college's Facebook page, or sharing our IG posts on your stories. You can follow us at CollegeSide Chats. With that said, thank you again for joining us. Thank you to the panelists for volunteering your time, and congratulations on your acceptances, and we hope that you and your loved ones stay safe and healthy. Welcome to Geneseo, guys.
Excited to see you on campus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If any of you
Yeah,
have any
come say hi.
questions, yeah, if any of you have any questions, definitely take down our names. I'm sure we'd be happy to answer any emails or anything
Yeah,
like that.
absolutely. You guys have been getting emails from me. You can use that email and reach out to me, or you can reach out to me through Facebook. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions or concerns you guys have.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it. Thank you very much. Stay
Good
safe.
luck, guys. Stay safe. Bye.
I think that went well.
Oh, I didn't know if you were staying
Okay.
or not. I was watching everyone leave. I was worried. I was
Oh, well.
Okay.
Would you guys
Obviously,
think?
only the real ones are here now.
True.
We out here.
Okay, I'm gonna leave now.
Yeah, bye.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave.
Bye.
All right. Bye.